the area has a formula, and the circumference of a circle has a formula. The formula for area is pi times radius squared, and the formula for circumference, well, there's a couple of them, but we were using pi times the diameter. So the circumference of this circle will be, 12 is the diameter, so you'd have to times that by pi. Now, there's two ways of leaving this answer. Sometimes they ask for the answer in terms of pi, which means I can just say that's 12 pi's, which is just 12 pi. And this is something called answer in terms of pi. This is actually more accurate than any decimal answer. Anyone tell me why it's more accurate? Lanny? Yeah, you have to round it. This is unrounded. This is pi in its full entirety, even though we don't know a lot of the digits, but that's pi in its full entirety. Whereas if I get out my calculator and do 12 times some rounded version of pi, so that's 12, we'll use 3.14 for this unit, we get 37.68. It's good to give a unit. Is it centimeters squared? Yeah. Lani?
Oh, I've got a question.
Yeah.
When you click the pi thing on your calculator, is that the entirety of pi, or is it?
It's also rounded, but rounded probably further down the line. Depends on the calculator. Probably around, for your calculator, around 10 decimal places it uses. Okay. So 37.68 is the centimeters squared. It's just centimeters. It's a distance. Remember, it's a circumference. Is if I went for a little walk around the whole circle and ended up back here, that would be my circumference distance. And it should be around 3 and a bit times more than this, and 3 times more than this is 36, so 37.68 makes sense, of course, because we know that pi is formed from the circumference divided by the diameter, or the diameter is 3 and a bit times smaller than the circumference. Now the area of the circle is pi times the radius squared. Now the radius here is not 12, it is 6. Thank you. 6 squared. So which do I do first? Do I multiply pi times 6 first and then square it, or do I square first?
Square.
Order of operations tell me to do any squaring before I do any multiplication. Yes. So I'd have to square this first. So this is pi times 36. Now I can leave that answer in terms of pi. 36 times pi, or most of us, I think, prefer to do the actual, get a decimal approximation, 113.04. So for any of these questions, if you're wondering what to round it to, if you're rounding, just go 2 decimal places. That's 2 spots after the decimal if you're doing any of these.
Sometimes it says rounded, sorry.
It might say the nearest whole, yeah. If it hasn't stated what to round it to, you can round it to whatever it says. Okay. Yeah.
What if you don't know pi on your calculator?
Just use 3.14. I'm using 3.14.
That 3.14, I did that yesterday. 3.14 times, for example, 6 to find the area.
Okay, well, we just said this. We have to square the 6 first because of order of operations. You always square first and then multiply by the pi, even though the order is the other way around.
I got it wrong, and then the sub yesterday used the square, and it still didn't count as correct.
Okay, you make sure you square first. I think that's probably the problem. Lani?
Is square times 2?
No, square is times itself.
No, yeah.
Square is times itself.
Yeah, square is definitely times itself, yes.
How do you do cube?
Times itself 3 times. So 4 cubed is 4 times 4 times 4. So to the power of 3, so if I have 5 with a little 3 is cubed, that's not 5 times 3, it's not 15, it's 5 multiplied by itself 1, 2, 3 times. That's where the what's 5 times 5? That's plus 5, yeah. Yeah, 125. Yeah. Okay, so this is a trickier shape, so we want the perimeter of this shape. So I imagine it's a full circle to start. This is a 90-degree angle. I didn't mark that, but it is a 90-degree angle. If I want to find the perimeter of this shape, first I go about finding the circumference of a full circle. as if it was a full circle. We can clearly see it's not a full circle. But the circumference of this full circle would be pi times 10, wouldn't it? Because that's 2 radiuses diameter, which gives 31.4, I think, if we round it. That's the full circle, but I don't have a full circle. I'm missing what fraction of the circle? 1/4 of the circle is gone. So what I actually have is 3/4. So I need to get 3/4 of my 31.4, which, because I have a calculator, how do I do that? Destin?
Divide it by 4 and 10 over 3.
Very good. So to get 3/4 of something, I divide it by 4, multiply it by 3. Divide by 4 to get 1/4, and then multiply it by 3 to get 3/4. So that's how I get 3/4 of something. Dividing by 4 to split it up into quarters, and then multiplying by 3. So this is this length. All the way around, if I walk that much. But that's not the perimeter of the shape. That is not the perimeter of the shape. I need to add what to that? 10. So I would also have to walk this bit and this bit, which is 5 and 5. So I'd add those 2 5s together as 10. I get 33.
Because you still have to do this, the sides.
For a perimeter of a shape, you have to enclose the shape. So quite often, if we see a question that has this marked 10 and 6, a mistake that most people, or some people make, is that the perimeter of this shape is 16, because they only count what is marked. But of course, we have to walk this one, and this one, and this one. We must enclose the shape to do a full perimeter. So remember to enclose the shape to do a full perimeter. So get 3/4 of the circumference and then add 10 on. What about the area of this shape? What would I do? Kiki, you got a strategy? For area? Yeah. Okay, so 5 squared times, so that's pi times 5, yes, which gives 25 times pi, which I'll do here. I'm using 3.14 all the time here. That gives me 78.5, is it? 78.5, yeah. Is that the entire area? What do I need to do? So I can either subtract 1/4, or I can do the same thing, get 3/4. So you'll get the same answer. I think it's 3/4 of 78.5. The same thing. To get 3/4 of something, I divide it by 4 and multiply it by 3. So I'll divide it by 4 on my calculator and multiply it by 3, and I get 58.88 when I round, I think. I think it's 875. Yes, Lenny?